Here we are, face to face with the largest member of the deer family, the moose. Head lifted, nostrils flared, ears flattened, signs that this powerful animal, all 500 kilograms of him, is about to charge. Usually, an encounter like this would end with a gun blast. But for Gisèle Benoit, it signaled the kindling of a passion that would consume 10 years of her life and lead her to many discoveries about the secret life and language of the moose. Parc de la Gaspésie. This 800 square kilometer territory is one of Quebec's richest conservation areas. During the summer, moose of all ages gather around the park's lakes to feed on aquatic plants. This mountainous region also shelters the last native herd of woodland caribou south of the St. Lawrence River. Unfortunately, their natural habitat has been changed by logging. With their lush undergrowth, these old clearings are better suited for moose, whose population density in the park is now one of the highest in the world, 2 per square kilometer. As usual, Gisèle Benoit sees the first light of day in the company of moose. An experienced wildlife painter, she also has a keen interest in research into animal behavior.
I first went to Parc de la Gaspésie in 1979 because I wanted to observe its famous caribou herd. But when I came face to face with the moose in its natural habitat, I immediately fell in love. The moose wasn't the aggressive loner, so often portrayed in folklore, or even described in some scientific writing. I found the moose rather sociable, and I was immediately struck by its strong personality. A wildlife painter must of course be very accurate when it comes to animal anatomy and habitat. And there's a lot of material readily available on those two basic subjects. But for me, the real challenge is to go beyond the simple anatomically correct portrait. I always try to grasp the character of the species I want to paint. And to do that, I go to the field, season after season, carefully observing its behavior and even studying its language. That's what first brought me into close contact with the moose.
One of the strongest social ties among moose is the one between the cow and her young. The young, born at the end of May or the beginning of June, grow rapidly. The female will protect and take care of her offspring 1 full year until new calves are born. Sense of smell and regular exchanges of calls form a strong bond between mother and calf. This same type of low grunt is frequently used by bulls who enjoy the company of other males, except during the mating season. When social rank is contested, both males and females kick to assert their position within the hierarchy of the group. In most cases, a simple warning like simulating a charge is enough to frighten the weaker animal and establish dominance. Of course, one can kick for real too. Moose love water. It's one of the few members of the deer family able to completely submerge itself to feed on aquatic plants at the bottom of lakes. They can stay up to 45 seconds underwater. It goes without saying that the moose is a powerful and impressive swimmer.
I spent 3 years observing moose in order to fully understand their general behavior and to decipher the different sounds which make up their language. After that, I wanted to verify my observations. I could only do that by experimentation, so I decided to try to communicate directly with moose, mimicking the different calls they make.
It's spring, and Gisèle has spotted a lone cow. To make contact, Gisèle uses only soft, non-threatening calls. Although smell and sight tell the cow Gisèle is not another moose, the friendly sounds are sufficient to establish mutual trust and allow very close contact. Only because of her unique experience over many years can she attempt this kind of dangerous encounter.
I must never forget that I'm in the presence of a wild animal, and even though it responds positively to my calls, it doesn't mean I'm safe. I must be able to anticipate any aggressive behavior. But the most important element of all is respect. I must never intrude on the animal. I must accept that it has the right to end the experiment.
These encounters are not always friendly. Upset by human smell, this large bull becomes restless and cries out in alarm. His fear suddenly turns to anger. Again he calls out. Gisèle understands the warning and puts an end to the encounter. Inside its hind legs, the moose has special secreting glands. If he's frightened, he rubs these glands and urinates. This releases a scent which warns other moose of imminent danger. The moose's usual composure can't be taken for granted. His behavior can show spectacular bursts of anger or good humor. The moose's imposing presence comes mainly from its majestic antlers, which only the bull displays. Surprisingly, these enormous racks are regrown each year. In spring, the ground is strewn with fallen antlers from the last winter. Soon, a surge of hormones triggers the process of antler regrowth. While forming, antlers are covered with a sensitive skin called velvet, filled with blood vessels. These nourish the antlers and promote their extremely rapid growth. It will take only 5 months for the antlers to reach full size, which in adulthood can span 2 meters. It's early September, just before the mating season. This bull is beginning to shed the dried up velvet on his mature antlers. This is where a moose has raked his antlers to rid them of their now useless skin covering. Shreds of velvet clinging to branches is not an uncommon sight. Each year, the adult bull produces a massive crown that contrasts with the simple spikes of the younger males. Contrary to popular belief, the number of points on the antlers doesn't indicate the age of the animal. These are 2 young bulls. Their antics show the awakening of their sexual instinct. This heralds the beginning of the mating season, which lasts from mid-September to the end of October. As the mating season draws near, the hardened antlers can now perform their main function. They become the principal means of communication by which bulls express their rivalry during the rut. The stakes are high, winning the favor of a female. It's autumn. An unusual agitation stirs the air. It's the mating season. Gisèle observed that during the mating season, certain dominant males displayed unusual territorial behavior. Moose usually crisscross the forest randomly in search of a mate. But here in Parc de la Gaspésie, large bulls choose a mating zone where they try to attract females, a behavior probably due to the high density of the moose population in the park. In mating zones, the females often come across certain territorial markings. This muddy hole is where the male has mixed the earth with his urine, which has a particular musky smell during the mating season. After wallowing around in this mixture and perfuming himself, he tries to attract the attention of cows, who are stimulated by this strong scent. Calls are also part of the language of the moose in rut. The bull patrols his mating zone, signaling his presence by raking trees and bushes with its antlers. These sounds attract the female. But above all, this gesture is meant to intimidate other males. In spite of the rivalry among bulls, in the end, it's the female who chooses her partner. Moose are most active at dusk. This cow's soft moans tell her partner that he is welcome. It's the first indication of her sexual receptiveness. The female's urine contains chemicals called pheromones. These scent molecules play an important role in the reproduction process of many animal species. They are indicators of variations in hormonal cycles. Ungulates have an organ in their palates that enables them to analyze these pheromones. The male takes a deep breath of the fragrance, lifts his head, and carefully tests the vapors to see whether his partner is on the verge of ovulation. This test is important because the cow's ovulation period lasts only 24 hours.
I'm often inspired by the beauty and gentleness of these love rituals. An experienced bull sometimes courts a female for more than 3 days before attempting to mate. He is patient and rarely annoys the female. I've named this behavior the vigil.
Soon, the cow responds to the courtship of an experienced male. The receptive female won't tolerate other cows coming near her mate. She chases them away with great determination, but usually without much success. Lower-ranking males, also attracted by females, are often found in a dominant bull's territory. Young bulls rarely have the opportunity to mate before they're 5 years old. Their state of permanent frustration, along with their lack of experience, frequently lead them to harass cows indiscriminately. This behavior sets the stage for impressive vocal protests from the female.
I've learned that these calls are made by a female in the process of interacting with a male. Seeing a young bull approaching, this female immediately lets him know she's not receptive. An adult male would probably stay put, but this young bull ignores the female's warnings and continues to seek physical contact. Hunters imitate this long, powerful bellow because they think it's the call of a cow in heat searching for a partner. This is a common misconception. These are, in fact, cries of protest. A lone cow never bellows this way. Nevertheless, these negative sounds do often attract males in autumn, for the simple reason that a bull in rut will react to any sound indicating the presence of a cow. The dominant bull is attracted by the sounds. He approaches aggressively because he wants to confront the young rival harassing the female. The first time I imitated a cow bellowing to attract a bull during the mating season, I must admit I too believed many of the myths that hunters held. I was sure the moose would come crashing out of the woods straight at me, destroying everything in his path. But it never happened. I finally understood that such misconceptions about animal behavior were only fostered by fear and ignorance. Sure, it's impressive to see a large bull coming out of the wood like that. And it's true he will make quite a racket. He'll thrash the bushes with his antlers, he'll call out aggressively, but that's all part of his language. this behavior has nothing to do with an attack or a blind raging charge.
To establish friendly contact with a bull during the rut, Gisèle imitates the soft nasal moans of a receptive cow which has spotted a potential sire. Sounds and smells aren't the only way moose communicate. Their antlers play an important role too. It was long assumed that antlers are used only as offensive or defensive weapons. We now know that they also function as a means of communication. Two rival bulls prepare for head-on combat. They come closer and closer, walking slowly, legs stiff, tipping their heads from side to side. By raking their antlers, they try to intimidate each other. The more aggressive a bull appears, the better his chance of forcing his rival's retreat.
At a certain point, I felt I had reached the limit of my ability to communicate with moose using sounds, but I didn't want to stop there. I felt I had to find a way to explore another aspect of the moose's language. So I decided to start experimenting with makeshift antlers.
Using false antlers, Gisèle experiments with an intimidation ritual. During such confrontations, she must demonstrate both aggressiveness and confidence, exactly as if she were a real bull. Every gestural and vocal statement she makes must be clear and unequivocal. The slightest hesitation could be interpreted by the moose as a sign of weakness. The span of his rack is far greater than Gisèle's, but this doesn't automatically give him superior status. In fact, numerous encounters similar to this one have shown Gisèle that the movement and raking of her false antlers have a greater psychological impact than their actual size.
Deciding how far I can go is the most dangerous moment in these encounters. Most of the time, the bull is no more than 5 or 6 meters away when I detect some signs he is ready to charge. Taking off my false antlers usually puts an end to the intimidation ritual. No longer seeing the antlers of his rival, the moose loses his motivation to fight. It's very impressive to feel the aggression of a large mammal like a moose. But he only acts that way because with my false antlers, I become another bull. It's a game of bluff. If the moose succeeds in impressing me from the start, I take off my false antlers and go. Otherwise, it's I who try to intimidate him. Not the way a human being would, but the way a moose would.
Since the size of Gisèle's antlers does not automatically give her a certain social status, she must beware of young bulls who are prone to extremely aggressive behavior. This young male discovers Gisèle in a clearing he wants to claim for himself. Gisèle succeeds in asserting her dominance. The bull refrains from making any threatening moves, and although clearly annoyed, retreats. Gisèle must play her part to the end, chasing the young bull from the clearing.
It may seem incredible, but when I confront a bull, I'm never afraid. I'm so focused on the dialogue between me and the animal that I forget everything else. And that's a good thing, because if I were to panic and run away, I'm sure it would provoke the moose to charge. This is particularly true during my encounters with dominant males, accompanied by females in their mating zones. Such a male is sometimes so blinded by his combat instinct that removing my antlers is not enough to diffuse his anger. I must talk, make my human identity absolutely clear, clap my hands, so that he will snap out of it.
Doucement. Doucement. Non, non. Doucement. Attention.
It's difficult for Gisèle to study the effect of her false antlers on females. During the rut, most sexually receptive cows are found within a dominant male's territory, and the bull won't tolerate any rival.
When I try to approach a cow, especially in a bushy area, I always make sure there's no bull around. I force the bull to signal his position by challenging him. If he's there, the response is immediate. If he's not there, I can try to seduce a cow without the danger of being spotted by a jealous bull.
Many hours later, as night falls, Gisèle's patience finally pays off.
Attention, doucement. C'est trop proche, ça. Doucement, doucement.
Whether it is to attract cows or intimidate other bulls, I've experienced firsthand that antler display is indeed a very effective language of gestures. But intimidation doesn't always work. Antlers can also do the job when the use of force is necessary.
During summer, the antlers are covered in velvet and very sensitive. Gisèle wondered whether it would be possible, even out of season, to trigger rutting behavior. She recently determined that merely the back and forth motion of the antlers is sufficient to arouse such an aggressive response. In the last moment, the bull changes his mind. In fact, Gisèle has gained only a token victory. Her opponent's aggressive instincts are not strong enough to blind him completely. Outside the rutting season, the bull is not motivated to pursue the encounter. At this time of year, it's far safer for Gisèle to use her false antlers to explore the moose's natural sociability. The absence of provocative movements, coupled with a few friendly calls, allows her to establish a relationship.
Any attempt to use false antlers without understanding the messages being transmitted is extremely dangerous. For me, these experiments are the result of years of observations and are undertaken within the framework of scientific research. I have the psychological preparation and the knowledge to carry them out.
But accidents can happen to even the most experienced researcher. A few years ago, an angry moose sprang out of the bushes just a few meters from where Gisèle and her family were filming. Trapped in a narrow trail and feeling threatened, the moose charged to defend himself. Fortunately, no one was hurt. The rutting season leaves the bulls in a state of general exhaustion from fasting and the fevered pitch of their mating activities. They've lost from 5 to 10% of their weight. They must now rebuild their strength and gain some fat before a rigorous winter sets in. The cows will take care of their young throughout the winter until the birth of their next calf. During the long months to come, day-to-day survival will be the sole preoccupation of the moose. As winter approaches, Gisèle too feels tired. The months of work in the field are very demanding. She's happy to return to the quiet of her studio, where she will put on canvas the most memorable moments of the year gone by.
If I try to sum up in a few words what lessons moose have taught me during all these years, I would first talk about the control of my emotions, and then about tolerance and respect. But most of all, I've learned about communication, about the fascinating way intimidation rituals contribute to the survival of the moose. For me, it's been a tremendous source of personal enrichment. There's no end to exploring the world of animal behavior. I still have a lot to learn from moose, and I'm sure that they will never cease to bring me moments of discovery, joy, and wonder.